Every now and then I like to do a video on something you may have missed because so much happens every day. Well, in case you missed it over the last week, the president pardoned this guy. This is Juan Orlando Hernandez. He is the former president of Honduras, but not just the former president of Honduras. He was also convicted in a massive cocaine smuggling, transporting conspiracy in which hundreds of thousands of kilos of cocaine were smuggled through Honduras and ultimately to the United States of America. He was part of perhaps one of the largest drug conspiracies to face charges in the United States in decades. Convicted after a years-long investigation, sentenced to 45 years in jail. This wasn't just a narco-trafficking organization, but a murderous one, a brutal one, and yet he's given a pardon by the president at a time when the president is saying that Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela should be removed from power because he's a narco-terrorist, because he's running some narco organization. Now, Maduro is a terrible, illegitimate dictator of that country, but the hypocrisy is just glaring. We're at the position of potentially going to war with Venezuela for purposes of regime change, and the president just pardoned the Honduran former president for massive drug running. So what is up with that? Well, of course, the president has been asked that question. Why did you pardon this guy? And this is his answer.
Well, I was told, I was asked by Honduras, many of the people of Honduras, they said it was a Biden setup. I don't mean Biden didn't do it a lot, but it was the people that surround the Resolute desk, surround Biden when he was there, which was about very little time. And the people of Honduras really thought he was set up and it was a terrible thing. He was the president of the country. And they basically said he was a drug dealer because he was the president of the country.
So he says he's been hearing from a lot of people in Honduras. Really, I don't think so. I don't think Hondurans are getting on the phone and calling President Trump and saying our poor former president was an innocent man. He was so mistreated by that terrible Biden administration. You need to pardon him. No, I don't think so. Now, for all the clemency that's being shown to the pinnacle of this conspiracy, the former president of Honduras, one of his co-conspirators is getting very different treatment. The co-conspirator is this man, Soriano. Soriano produced what we would call state's evidence against his fellow co-conspirator, talked about the scale of the drug trafficking, talked about the murders committed to advance the drug trafficking. Well, this person who gave state's evidence has now been deported by the Trump regime back to Honduras. So the president is pardoning the former president, who will leave American jails, already has, go back to Honduras, and the guy that helped convict him has been sent back to Honduras. I would not want to be in his shoes. That's part of the terrible miscarriage of justice being done by this pardon. Now, the president, the former president of Honduras, wrote a letter to Trump in which he used the usual Trump flattery to try to get a pardon. Part of that flattery read like this. Your Excellency, Hernandez wrote, I have found strength from you, sir. Your resilience to get back in that great office, notwithstanding the persecution and prosecution you faced, all for what? Because you wish to make your country great again. This is what Hernandez wrote. What you accomplished is unprecedented and truly historic. Well, it doesn't take a genius, whether you're Putin or you're a convicted drug trafficker, former president, to know that to manipulate Donald Trump, all you have to do is compliment Donald Trump. But surely there must be more to it than that. Well, one factor is this letter was sent to the president by one of the president's longtime criminal associates named Roger Stone. Roger Stone was convicted of lying to Congress during the course of the Mueller investigation, and of course, he himself received a pardon from Donald Trump. Well, Stone sends this letter on behalf of the former president of Honduras, urging a pardon. Now, it's not just Roger Stone, but it's also the president's pardon attorney, who just happens to be the same counsel at Justice Department who is the president's weaponization prosecution leader named Ed Martin. Well, Ed Martin, who must have recommended this pardon, of course, prior to becoming this pardon attorney, was a lawyer for insurrectionists on January 6th. Which brings us to other horrible Trump pardons. That is, all of those engaged in the attacks on the Capitol on January 6th, hundreds who beat police officers, got a pardon on Trump's first day. More recently, a lot of the top conspirators with Trump got their pardons. The Rudy Giuliani's, the Jeffrey Clarks, and others got their pardons as well. But this may be among the most odious of pardons, the most hypocritical of pardons, the most inexplicable of pardons. So could it really just be appealing to Trump's ego that gets a pardon? Could it really just be weighing in by Trump's fellow travelers, the Ed Martins and the Roger Stones, that got this convicted drug trafficker freed with a pardon? Could that really be it? Could that be the complete explanation for why Trump has given this extraordinary pardon? I don't think that's everything. I think the additional impetus for the president involves the current elections in Honduras. The election count is still going on. The elections were on Sunday, and Trump had endorsed one of the candidates for president in Honduras, the leader of the National Party. And Juan Orlando Hernandez, the former president that just got the pardon, is also from the National Party. And I think this was Donald Trump's way of announcing in advance of the elections that he planned to pardon this guy and now going through with it. This is Donald Trump's way of trying to influence the elections in Honduras. Now, those elections at this moment are too close to call. And because Trump's candidate is a bit behind, you know what Trump is saying? He's saying there must be fraud. But regardless, we are seeing an abuse of the pardon power beyond anything we could have imagined. Really the worst fear, I think, of many of our founders when they placed such a potent power in the hands of a president. Now, there were good reasons to do it, good reasons for the founders to do it. They thought presidents would largely be responsible, that they would look to bring justice where justice may not have been served, that they would bring mercy where mercy had not been shown. But here, the president pardoning people who used violence to help overturn the election in his favor. Here, the president pardoning crypto billionaires because they make massive investments in his family firm. Or here, where we're on the verge of going to war with one country and yet pardoning the former president of another country in the same hemisphere, both involved in drug trafficking, makes no sense. No sense at all, except perhaps in the upside-down world of Donald Trump, in case you missed it. So thanks for watching tonight's video. We started doing these nightly videos as a way of identifying something really important that happened today or this week, what we should make of it, and how we can fight back. As you can see, I like to include movie clips. If you have any suggestions for other movie clips I should include in future videos, please share them with us. And thank you for following along.